I recently took a look at the Soulstone Survivors Prologue and demo. As you might guess, this is another entry in the recently growing genre of games where you fight oncoming swarms of creatures by lobbing attacks everywhere. They are getting called bullet hell, but I don't think this genre title works as it lacks the dodging of waves of projectiles, which is a substantial part of bullet hell. In any event, let's get into Soulstone Survivors. I'm going to be using footage from both the prologue and the demo, with the demo used to show newer elements. Most games like this have a roster of characters to pick from, and Soulstone Survivors is no different. On the character select screen, we can see many characters will be available at release, with each getting their own stat adjustments and starting active skills. The starting skill, while mixing up the beginning of a run, is not as big a deal in this game as you can replace it during the run. This makes the stat changes each character brings the real differentiators between them. In addition to the various characters, Soulstone Survivors has something like a subclass system in place. By making and equipping alternate weapons, you can further change a character's stats as well as give them a different starting skill. As noted above, the stats have a bigger impact long term, but the skill still adds further variety to the start of a run. On the meta progression front, we appear to have two systems, but only one is available right now. The skill tree is your basic list of small, permanent upgrades you can take for all future runs. There are ultimately not a lot of upgrades available here. I understand that you don't want your players getting too powerful for future updates, but eventually you'll run out of things to strive for. It would be nice to see a more expansive skill tree, and or one that has no caps. The other form of meta progression seems to be runes. While I can only speculate about this one, it looks like runes will be some sort of modifier equipped on a character. Your loadout includes 5 slots shaped like the rune icons, so I think we can assume you'll be able to bring up to 5 of these along. When you're ready to get into the actual gameplay, you go to the fight screen. Here we can see the selected character and their stat modifiers. If you have an alternate weapon equipped, you can see it here, but the changes to stats and starting skill are not indicated. They should definitely show all the stat changes since, as I mentioned previously, those are the biggest differences in characters. If you're happy with the character, you then select your map. There are a few available right now, and at least one more is visible for release. Aside from cosmetic differences, each map has a pair of resources you can get there. These are the resources you use for creating character weapons, so you are encouraged to play the various levels. Once you're in the battle, things flow a lot like other games in the genre. If you've played this kind of game before, then the basic concept is not going to be new. You have skills that auto-fire on timers. Each has their own behavior, and you can have up to 6 of them at a time. Skills drop currency and experience items. The currency is automatically gathered, while you have to get close enough to the experience to obtain it. The goal of each run is to beat 5 bosses. These bosses are summoned by killing a number of enemies. Once you've beaten all 5, you can leave the level. One of the differentiating elements of Soulstone Survivors is how enemies attempt to harm you. Unlike many of the games in this genre, enemies don't hurt you just by touching you. Instead, all enemies telegraph an attack that will do the damage. Some enemies will just show that they are winding up before they inflict damage immediately in front of them, but these are generally only the weakest types. More commonly, when an enemy winds up, a reddish-orange area shows up on the field and slowly fills in. Once the area is filled, the attack happens and damage can be inflicted. These can take a variety of forms, ranging from sweeping arcs, cones or lines that emanate forward from the enemy, to projectiles that arc through the air or just fall from above. Being hit can also have additional effects, like slowing you down or sending you flying. As the level progresses, more and more of these attacks get fired, resulting in gameplay that is just as much about dodging the telegraphed attacks as it is about dishing out destruction. This adds a greater intensity to the gameplay without fully becoming a bullet hell. You'll level up once you've gained enough experience, resulting in a choice. One of the things that differentiates Soulstone Survivors from its peers is that each level is one of 2 types of choices. Some levels are a power selection, where you choose something that affects your character, multiple or all active skills, or a single active skill. For powers that affect multiple active skills, they refer to keywords that active skills have that include things like instant, physical, area, or poison. If an active skill is affected by a keyworded power, it will be listed on that power. Any active skill that is affected by a power that targets it alone or as a keyword gets a level and becomes more powerful. Powers also have rarities. While a given power always has the same effect, a higher rarity version will supply more of it. There are also some powers that can only appear as a particular rarity. When it comes to getting upgrades in this sort of game, I think this is a standout element. You will find yourself juggling the choice of universal upgrades, higher rarity upgrades, and upgrades that will level your active skills. These power choices add greater variation to each run, and they also create more organic, emergent build decisions. You can always hold out to aim for a planned build, or you can adapt to the options you're seeing. I like the idea that your plans might suddenly change because an amazing power option just showed up. The second kind of choice is an active skill choice. This gives you a new attack. You have 6 slots available for these. One thing I like about this is that you can replace active skills once your list is full. This can let you swap in active skills that fit better with your current build. Additionally, instead of swapping an active skill once your list is full, you can opt to take a power choice instead. The ability to swap out skills further lends to emergent builds. Just because you didn't find that last active skill that would fit perfectly with your choices so far doesn't mean you're stuck without it, since you might swap it in later. Future power choices might make you want to change to different skills that will benefit from those powers as well. At the same time, choosing to replace an ability means not choosing to take another power, which could be build changing in its own way. You're getting the opportunity to make compelling choices about your build direction. It's not just about filling in a build you could largely determine before the run started. This is definitely something I'd like to see a lot more of from this sort of game. All in all, Soulstone Survivors shows a lot of potential if they succeed in building upon what we've seen so far. They've already indicated a large number of character choices along with alternate weapon variants to expand it further. This will give us some initial goals and variety as you work to unlock them all. The skill tree is reasonable meta progression, even if I'd like more from it. Hopefully, runes will add to it as well. The interaction between powers and active skills creates compelling build decisions that will add variety to each run. This is definitely the biggest selling point of this game, and I hope they keep adding to it. At this point, I'm looking forward to the full version of this game. In the end, this is just my opinion, though. Let me know what you think in the comments, and remember to like and subscribe for more.